Good morning. So we start our class on Mandukya Upanishad from where we left. That is, we start the fifth mantra. Yatra supto na kanchana kamam kamayate na kanchana swapnam pashyati tat sushuptam. Sushupta sthana eki bhutah pragyana gana eva anandamayo hi anandabhuk चेतो मुखः प्राज्ञः तृतीयः पादः. So we have till now seen two quarters of the Atman as in the ignorant world. As in the ignorant world. We have seen two quarters. We have seen two quarters. What are the quarters? One is of the waking state, another one is of the dream state. Now we see the third quarter, which is of the deep sleep state, which is called Sushupti. What does it say? Yatra supto na kanchana kamam kamayate. So you see Suptah, the person who is sleeping, who is in the deep sleep, na kanchana kamam kamayate, has no desires, does not desire anything. Because in deep sleep, you don't have mind. Your mind is killed every day. Your mind is killed every day. Your sense organs go into death every day. Every day this is happening when you go into deep sleep. And so at that time, when there is no mind, there are no thoughts. When there are no thoughts, how can you desire anything? You cannot desire anything. So, na kanchana kamam kamayate. The person who is sleeping does not desire anything. Na kanchana swapnam pashyati. Also does not desire anything, also does not dream anything, because there is no mind. Now dream comes out of mind, and because there is no mind, you cannot dream anything also. So there is no desire, there is no dream. Then tat sushuptam, a state of consciousness when a person who is in that state does not desire, does not even dream, that state is called sushupti. That state is called deep sleep. And this is sushupta sthana eki bhutah pragyana ghana. Earlier we saw 19 limbs, etc., etc. Now there are no 19 limbs. Why? Because there is no mind. You become mindless. Most of you work mindlessly, but here you actually become mindless. Not mindlessly mindless, but there is no mind. Mind is destroyed. Mind is dead. So this Sushupta sthana, this sphere of deep sleep, eki bhutah pragyana ghana. There is a mass ghana of pragyana, consciousness, which is eki bhuta, which is unified or undifferentiated without any difference. And it is Sushupta sthana. This is the sphere of Sushupti, deep sleep. Eva Anandamayo, and it is full of consciousness and full of bliss. Anandamayo, it is full of embodiment of bliss. He Ananda book, and here one experiences bliss. The problem is, here we experience bliss without mind. Without mind and sense organs, we experience bliss. So this bliss is immediate. And that is why when we get up from deep sleep, we say that I had a good sleep. But we don't know what happened then, because there is nothing else to record that experience. But we experience bliss. So there is an experience. That is why book means bhoga, experience, experiencer, or a person who experiences. What does that person experience? Ananda, bliss. And cheto mukha, that person is leading towards, progressing towards chetana or knowledge, cheta. Prajna tritiya pada, and that is tritiya pada, that is the third state. That's the third state. Now these three states we are all aware of. We are aware of the waking state. Are you aware of the waking state? Are you aware of the waking state? You think you are
We are
aware.
in
That's the problem. You think you are aware, because many people, they are in the waking state. Then you are in a classroom. Then they ask, what did I now say? Huh? What did you say, sir? Huh? What happened? Then you are in a meeting. Most of you are in a meeting situation. So a meeting. Then so Shubhaji, what do you think about this suggestion? So she will, huh? What suggestion? What happened? So at your expense. So what happened? What happened? So suddenly you are like coming from suddenly you are woken up from daydreaming. So even waking state, how many of us are alert? Very difficult. You are fed, suppose Vyomkesh cooks a meal and Vyomkesh is thinking, I did not get this particular masala, so the taste will be little different. But then he is serving everyone, eat and tell us what. Most of you will eat and say, bahut badhiya hai. Because you never realize what is the difference and all that. You're not aware when you eat also. Really, you're not aware. Many people don't even have a sense of color. They can't differentiate between good music and bad music. They don't know things. Why? Because even in the waking state, though we think that we are awake, most of us are asleep. We are not awake. You are not awake to the feelings of your other people. You see, it's very easy to react. It's difficult to respond. And it is totally almost next to impossible to be quiet. So you don't need to react at all. And also most of the times you don't need to respond also. You just need to be quiet. Silence speaks, as they say. But how many of us can be silent? You have to, our whole existence is dependent on how you react to a situation, not respond. How you react to a situation. There's a difference between reacting and responding. Responding is when you think, when you have assimilated the situation and then act upon that. Reacting is just at the spur of the moment you react. So most of us, our ego, our existence, उसने मुझे ऐसा बोला, he has told me like that, and I have to tell him something. I have to give it back to him then and there. Only then my existence is established. Otherwise my existence is not established. We live in such a stupid world, and yet we have the audacity to say that we are awake. Are we awake? There are so many levels of this. For example, you are maybe sitting somewhere. Are you even aware of the lizard which is crawling on your wall? You're not. Are you aware of so many insects which are there? You're not. You see what we have done. Nature has given us such a wonderful place, and we have all created cubicles of concrete or wood or whatever, and we are safely secluded in it. You see, if you think animals are caught in the forest and they are put in cages and they feel captive, they feel arrested, but human beings create their own cages. Have you just imagined about that? We create our own cages and we are very happy, we are very comfortable. Why? Because we live in a very closed and narrow world of our own. And we think that and here also within that cage, we have only two people, say husband and wife. And both of them have quarrels because we don't have to understand all the animals, etc. But still, we are not able to understand the other person. So even waking state, we are not awake. Okay, let us give up waking state. Let us come to sleep state. How many of you, when you dream, are aware that you are dreaming? Hmm? You're not.
No. No.
When we get up, then only we
Realize.
So you see, you are dreaming, but you don't know that you're dreaming. While you're dreaming, you think that that is the reality. So
Yes.
even in sleep state, you're not sleeping. Even in sleeping state, you're not sleeping, though you think you are sleeping. So you're not aware there also. And in deep sleep state, nobody is aware. If you were aware in deep sleep state, that's all you will get the knowledge of Brahman, because there nothing is there. So there is only awareness which is not present. So you see, our problem always is awareness. We are unaware. We are not aware of things. Nobody can say the condition of one's own heart. Else we didn't need to go to cardiologists. If I could just close my eyes and say, oh ho ho, there is a small failure in the left ventricle, then I don't need a cardiologist. We go to cardiologists and we do all the tests and all that. So we cannot see ourselves. And even others, when we see others, it is through our biased minds and biased perceptions that we see others. So the problem is always about awareness. If you are aware in one state, you will be aware in all the states. If you are completely aware of one state, you will be aware of all the states. We are not aware of any state, and that's the problem. In the sixth mantra, the Upanishad says, Esha Sarveshwara, Esha Sarvagya, Eva Antarmaya, Antaryami, Esha Yonihi, Sarvasya Prabhava api Ayo hi Bhutanam. So, this Atman, which is all pervading, which is there in the three states, that is Sarveshwara in its natural state. In its natural state, it is Sarveshwara. It is the Ishvara of all. It is the Lord of all. That means that is that pure consciousness. It's only that which is controlling everything. That is the ultimate reality. Pure consciousness is the ultimate reality. Esha Antaryami. Esha Yonihi. And this is knower of all knowing. And this is Esha Yonihi. It is the controller within. And Sarvasya Prabhavau api. This is the source of all, from which all Bhutanam come. Means all the beings, all things come. Whatever you see in this universe comes from this consciousness. So there is only one consciousness from which all things in this universe come. That is what is being told here. And in the seventh mantra, we see the there are 4 quarters. Now, what is the 4th quarter? The 4th quarter is called Turiya. Turiya. Turiya means that is the state which is the true state of our Atman. That is our true nature. And so that is being explained in the 7th mantra. It is said, Na anta pragyam, na bahish pragyam, na ubhayata pragyam, na pragyana ghanam, na pragyam, na apragyam. This is a definition by elimination. So, who is Byomkesh? Byomkesh is not an accountant. Byomkesh is not an accountant. Byomkesh is not a doctor. Byomkesh is not a military person. Byomkesh is not a IAS official. So many things he is not. So what is he? And finally like that. So definition by elimination. This is by a process of elimination you are defining. So here also Turiya, the true reality, true consciousness, which is here being told as the 4th quarter. Actually, that is the true nature. All quarters abide in that consciousness. All the forms or all the ideas of this universe are actually based on consciousness. But for the sake of our understanding, it is told as the 4th quarter. Na anta pragyam. So it is not something which is conscious of internal world. Na bahish pragyam. It is not that something which is conscious of outer world or external world. Internal subjective world, external objective world. So it is not something which is conscious of internal world, neither is it something that is conscious of external world or objective world. Neither it is conscious of internal subjective world, neither is it conscious of external objective world. Na pragyana ghanam. And it is also not na ubhayata pragyam. It is not conscious of both. It is not conscious of both. And also it is not pragyana ganam. It is not an embodiment of everything that is conscious. Embodiment of consciousness. And na pragyam na apragyam. It is not simple consciousness, and also it is not unconscious. This is a definition where everything is negative. So I say it is not conscious, it is not external, it is not internal, it is not both. Now you may say, oh, then it is a mixture of both. No, it is not. Then It is not a pure consciousness. No, it is not like that. It is not simple consciousness also. It is not non-consciousness. So what is it? Why is it being told like that? Because you cannot know what it is. Sri Ramakrishna in his beautiful language said, you can never defile the knowledge of Brahman. Brahmagyan uchishto haina. The knowledge of Brahman can never become defiled. Why? Because knowledge of Brahman is something which you experience. You can never ever describe it exactly to some other person. That is the idea. So here also, so the reason is given. Why is it not any of these? Because adrishtam, it cannot be seen. It cannot be seen by our sense organs. It cannot be seen. Avyavaharyam, and you cannot transact with that. Means you cannot have any kind of uh, relationship with it through the mind or the sense organs. It's not possible. And agrahyam, it cannot be comprehended by the mind. It is incomprehensible by the mind. And agrahyam, you cannot comprehend. So you may comprehend the behavior of some other people using your mind, but you cannot comprehend Brahman or this truth, ultimate reality. And alakshanam, you cannot also infer it, uninferable. So we have the classic example: wherever there is smoke, there is fire. So you see in the mountain that there is smoke, and then you infer that there is fire. Okay, so if a person is in the morning sleepy, so suppose somebody is like falling asleep when Mandukya Upanishad is being talked about, then you understand that that person did not have a good night's sleep. There's an inference. So you say, oh, you did not have a good sleep. Or if you go to your office and you see your boss in a very bad mood, that means that person did not get a good breakfast. This could be one inference. So similarly, the inference, we infer so many things. That is also a mode of knowledge which is called uh, Anumana. It is called inference, Anumana. We have 6 methods of knowledge in Indian philosophy. So one is Anumana. But even this cannot be inferred also. You cannot use that also. Anumana also will not work here. Alakshanam. Achintyam. It is unthinkable. It's unthinkable. You cannot think about it. Avyapadeshyam. You cannot Vyapadesha. You cannot describe it. You cannot explain it. Inexplicable and indescribable. And it is Atma Pratyaya Saram. It is the nature of consciousness, which is in the self, which is the true nature of self. So, and it is Prapancha Upashamam. Whatever universe you see, whatever phenomenal world we see, it is all Upashamam, negation of all that. So it is not this universe. In the famous adage, we say, Brahma Satyam, Jagat Mithya. So this Brahman alone is true. This universe is not true as we see it. In its nature as Brahman, it is true. But as we see as manifold universe of many names and forms, it is untrue. Then Shantam, it is peaceful. Why do we call this Shantam? Because where is peacelessness? When there is the other, there is peacelessness. When there are two, you have confusion. There are no two, so it is peaceful. And Shantam, it is peaceful. Shivam, it is good or blissful. And Advaitam, non-dual. It is called Chaturtam Manyate Sa Atma Savigyaya. This is known as Chaturtam. That means Turiya. So this is the state we have to attain. We are there in waking state, we are unaware of it most of the times, or almost all the time. Then we are in dream state, we are unaware of it. We are in deep sleep, we are unaware of it. The moment we become aware of these states, then we will become automatically aware of Turiya, which is our true state. This is Atman, and it is Atman. It is the Atma, and it has to be Vijnaya. It has to be realized. This is what has to be realized. So the Upanishad says, realize this. Now we have been given the mission impossible, almost. What is the mission? That you have to realize this 4th state. That is the mission. So how to do it? That is the question. How to do it? How can we realize this? this Atman, which is our true nature. That we have to now think. So, in the 8th mantra it says, Upanishad says, Saha ayam Atma Adhyaksharam Omkaro Adhimatram Pada Matra Matrascha Pada Akara Ukaro Makara Iti. You see, there is a big correspondence with Om of the 3 states of consciousness. The 3 states of consciousness correspond to the different syllables of the word Om or the letter Om. What are the syllables of Om? A, U and M. It so happens, if you carefully analyze different languages of the world, that there can be no sound which can be produced without using any one of these 3 syllables. A, U, M. At least you have to use one of these 3 syllables. Without using them, you cannot produce any sound in any language, or even without language. So, Saha Ayam Atma. That Atma which has been described in the previous mantras, 7 mantras, has having 4 quarters. That is Jagrata, Swapna, Shushupti and Turiya. 4 quarters. They are all actually Adi Aksharam Omkara Adimatram. They are all actually Om. If you take it from the point of view of Akshara, syllables. Akshara means imperishable also, but here we will understand it to be syllables. So if you see it from the point of view of syllables, then it has got it has got Om. These 4 quarters, they are only Om. So, Adimatram Pada Matra. The Om with parts, that's Pada, is viewed from the standpoint of Matra. Matra means letters or sounds. Matrascha Pada. And the letters are the quarters. We saw 3 quarters, 4 quarters. So the 4 quarters are letters. And the letters are quarters and the quarters are letters. That means these 4 are directly corresponding to 4 quarters and 4 letters. So what is this? Now I will tell you. Om corresponds to Turiya. Okay. Now Turiya state, actually that is also seen as a quarter of our ignorance, because in reality there is no state, there is only pure consciousness. Okay. And in waking state the syllable is a is the syllable in waking state. In dream state the syllable is u, and in deep sleep the syllable is m. So this is how. So the 4 quarters correspond with 4 syllables, or the 3 quarters correspond in 3 syllables, and the 3 syllables correspond with 3 quarters. So if I say a, it means waking state. If I say waking state, it means a. If I say dream state, it means u. If I say u, it means dreaming state. If I say it means shushupti or deep sleep. If I say deep sleep, it means So they refer to one another. And akara, ukaro, makara iti. And these are the 3 syllables. Akara, ukara and makara. This is how it is being described here. So that means, you see, if we, in the Upanishads, like Katha Upanishad, we see that one has to meditate on the Om. So, etad alambanam param, etad alambanam shreshtam, etc. We see in the Upanishad, Katha Upanishad. One has to meditate on Om. Why should one meditate on Om? Sri Ramakrishna says, Sandhya, that is the prayers of twilight. That is when 2 times come together. Sandhya. When it is Sandhya, then during Sandhya Vandana we do prayers. That merges in Gayatri. Gayatri merges in Om. So what does it mean? You see, this world, you have so many names and forms. Now these names and forms, there are so many names and forms. Now we are constantly distracted by the various names and forms. So to come back to the true reality which is behind all these names and forms, we have to slowly, gradually eliminate these names and forms. And that we do by constantly meditating upon lesser and lesser names and forms. So first, by giving up all other things and concentrating on the Sandhya Vandana, the twilight prayers, we do the twilight prayers and then we meditate on that. Then we eliminate those and then we get into Gayatri. Then we have already eliminated so many other names and forms. Then we eliminate even them and get into only Om, which is supposed to be the first manifestation of ignorance or the first manifestation of this universe. So like that, gradually we eliminate different forms of these names and forms, different aspects of these names and forms, and we come into the ultimate reality. So Om also will be gone in Samadhi. That is a thoughtless state of the mind. In that state, Om also will not be there. But before that, we have to meditate on that. That is the idea. Then in the ninth mantra, the Upanishad says, Jagarita stano Vaishwanarah akarah prathama matra apte adi matva adva apnoti havai sarvan kaman adishcha bhavati ya evam veda. Vaishwanara. Vaishwanara means what? That is the individual consciousness, associated with waking state. Individual consciousness associated with waking state. It is called Vaishwanara. That is Akara, Prathama. That is the letter of Om which is associated with waking state is Akara. And why Akara? Because it is all pervasive. All pervasive. Why all pervasive? Because it is first. In Om it is first. And even in our day-to-day activities, we first take the waking state. We consider waking state to be the starting point. We consider waking state to be the starting point. So Akara. And one who apnoti, one who attains to this waking state. So here also you see, so we are all waking. Why would the Upanishad say that one has to attain to this waking state? That means one who has realized that this consciousness is what has become bound in this waking state. One who understands that the consciousness has been wrongly understood to be in waking state. One who understands this, that person, sarvan kaman adishcha bhavati. That person gets fulfillment of all desires. That means what? Does it mean all the desires will be fulfilled? That means that the person will go beyond all the desires. The person will go beyond all the desires. Ya evam veda. You should know it like that. So Vaishwanara is the individual consciousness limited by ignorance in waking state. Individual consciousness limited by ignorance in waking state is called Vaishwanara. And individual consciousness limited by waking state in waking state is called Vaishwanara. It is connected with a, and individual it is individual consciousness. Cosmic consciousness connected with waking state, also connected with a, is called Vishwa. It's called Vishwa. It's called Vishwa. So this is what about the waking state. Now we go to the next state, that is dream state. How the different syllables of Om correspond to each state is being told in these mantras. स्वप्नस्थानः तैजस उकारो द्वितीया मात्रा उत्कर्षात् उभयत्वात् उत्कर्षति हवै ज्ञानसन्ततिं समानश्च भवति न अस्य ब्रह्मवित् कुले भवति य एवं वेद. So taijasa is the individual consciousness connected with dream state. Swapnasthana, the sphere of taijasa is dream state, swapna. Ukaro, and the syllable connected with Om, syllable of Om connected with dream state is U, which is the second letter of Om, Dvitiya Matra, second letter. Utkarshat, because of its superiority. Ubhayatvat, and also because of it being in between A and It is U is in between A and So this is also superior also. So anybody who understands this, who knows this, attains to superior knowledge. And samanascha bhavati, that person is treated by everyone as equal. And na asya brahma vid kule bhavati. So a person, and this is like a falashruti, this is like an encouragement to understand or to pursue this path of knowledge of Brahman. Here Upanishad says, Na asya brahmavid kule bhavati. That means in that person's lineage, family, there will be nobody who is not a knower of Brahman. Everybody in that person's family will become a knower of Brahman. A person who has understood that U is a different form of the manifestation of pure consciousness in dream state, and that is connected with something called taijasa, that is the individual consciousness as limited by the ignorance in dream state. If a person gets this realization, then that person attains to superior knowledge, and in that person's family nobody will be there who does not understand Brahman. So can it be really like that? If a person has known Brahman like this, how can that person's family, everyone become knower of Brahman? So it is called Arthavada. That means it is something which is like advertisement, an encouragement for you to pursue this path. Then in the 11th mantra, we see it is told Shushupta Sthana Pragyo Makarah Tritiya Matra मितेरपीतेर्वा मिनोति हवा इदं सर्वम अपि इतिश्च भवति य एवं वेद. So prajna, as we saw earlier, now in dream sleep, the individual consciousness as limited by the ignorance in dream sleep is called taijasa, and the cosmic consciousness as limited in dream sleep is called Hiranyagarbha. Is called Hiranyagarbha. So in dream sleep, this is what is there, and it is connected with the syllable U of Om. But in deep sleep, Shushupti, it is called Prajna. The consciousness, individual consciousness connected with deep sleep is called Prajna. And Makara, it is connected with the syllable Makara, Ma, which is the Tritiya Matra, which is the third letter. And it is also Mitehe. It is the measure. Mita. Api Itehe Va. And also it is that which makes everyone one. Everyone one. A person who knows this third state of consciousness, a person who knows it completely, minoti hava idam sarvamapi iti cha bhavati ya evam veda. That person is able to minoti, measure everything. That means that person is able to realize everything in this world, and also to understand all that is there in oneself. So that person is able to realize Brahman. That is the idea. So this is, and what is the cosmic consciousness which is connected with deep sleep called? Cosmic consciousness which is connected with deep sleep is called Ishvara. Ishvara. Cosmic consciousness connected with deep sleep is called Ishvara. Now we come to the last mantra of this Upanishad, which is the 12th mantra. It's supposed to be a very small Upanishad, one of the smallest or the smallest Upanishad. Amatraha chaturto avyavaharyah prapancho upashamah shiva advaita eva onkara atmaiva samvishati atmana atmanam yavedam ya evam veda. So we just saw this in the sixth shloka. Sorry, in the eighth shloka we saw the same thing. We saw the same thing, almost same thing. Amatraha. So this, the fourth state, Turiya, that is actually our true state. That is without any parts, soundless. That is beyond sound, speech, etc. So in Auma, no vowel is connected with this state. And it is Chaturto. This is the fourth part. And Avayavaryaha, it cannot be understood, it cannot be comprehended by the senses. And prapancha upashamaha, they are all phenomenon, all names and forms, all phenomena, they come to an end, cease. Shivaha, and it is bliss. Advaita, non-dual. Evam omkara, and that is om. That is the fourth. That means there in Turiya it is om. It is not just syllables, but om. Atmaiva samvishati, a person who knows this atmanam eva vedam. A person who knows this person merges oneself in the self itself. So one becomes just Brahman. Brahma with Brahmaiva bhavati. A person who knows Brahman becomes Brahman itself. Because if you know an object, there are sense organs, etc. So if you know, say, a mango, you don't become mango because there are sense object, that it's an object, it's an objective knowledge. And you use sense organs, etc. to see that object. Unlike Atman, which is not an objective knowledge, it's a subjective knowledge. So if you have this knowledge, you become one with the known. You become one with Brahman. So here ends our Mandukya Upanishad, which is very important. It is a very, very important Upanishad. And though it is a small Upanishad, but it is very important Upanishad. And here you have meditation on the three states of consciousness. Three states of consciousness. And so much of work is being recently done by psychologists, neuroscientists, based on this Mandukya Upanishad. As I was telling you earlier also, there is a book by Evan Thompson called Waking, Dreaming, Being. It's published by the Columbia University Press, and there has been a lot of debate centering around this book, and that you can also see. So today we saw this Upanishad, and we have actually finished study of this Upanishad, and so it is a very important Upanishad. Anybody has any questions?
Have like it's not a in the context question, but a little bit out of context. Uh, Everywhere in I mean, not everywhere, but yeah, most of the scriptures have this Falashrutika. Is it something just encouragement, or it's something of the experience from the sages, like they share their experiences, or it's just an encouragement for all of us?
Vedas have the courage to say that Vedas are useless. This is something unique to the Vedas, which you will not find in other scriptures, generally in other religious books. They say these are useless. That means you should not give up your logic while you study the Vedas. That is the idea. And also, the idea is that experience is the ultimate. Now, just like we saw, a person who attains this knowledge in his whole family or her family, everybody will be knower of Brahman. How is it possible? How is it possible? It is not logical, right? So, just because it is told by the Upanishads or scriptures, we cannot just take it because it doesn't make any sense. A person who has, see, one person because of one's own effort attains the knowledge of Brahman. How would that knowledge be helping the people who are born in that person's lineage? So, this person has died and gone 100 years after somebody is born, that person also will be an knower of Brahman. So if we use logic, we understand that that's not possible. It is not. It's actually foolish to say that. So that means we can understand that. Okay. So the idea is to just encourage people to pursue this path of knowledge of Brahman. So the point is that just because it is told here, we should not give up logic. We should not give up reason. It's the idea. Though knowledge of Brahman is beyond reason, but you can go there only using reason. No, you cannot just give it up.
Maharaj, as all said, and you also said that we need to. The goal is to go beyond our desire, all desires. So how it will go? Just I wanted to understand, like someone having desire to drive the helicopter. So, but he is not capable of driving the. It is a desire that he wants to drive the helicopter. So how he will go beyond the with his desire? That is also desire. So how it will satisfy him or her?
So first of all, you don't drive a helicopter; you only fly a helicopter. And
Oh, sorry, I'm gonna try.
okay, so how to suppose a person? So this is a very good question. So desires we have. Now, how to go beyond desires? You see, first of all, you have to be logical. Again, you have to take hold of reason. So certain desires can be removed by just reasoning. For example, a person says, I want to fly an aircraft. It could be helicopter, it could be any other aircraft. So flying an aircraft requires a lot of training, but more than that, it requires a lot of money. So it requires huge amount of money because you have to go to a place and you have to, rentals and license fees and all that. So it requires a lot of money. So a person can reason one's mind and say that it is not possible. So we don't do many things and we don't desire many things because we know that it is not possible with the resources we presently have. That is one way of reasoning out of that. You can just think and you can analyze and you can slowly. So it is possible to control desires in such a way. Some desires are not going to be controlled like that. Suppose you want to go to say some place and you have enough money, or even flying a helicopter, you have enough money to do that. So you will say, no, I have money is not a problem, and if a little more is required, I can arrange, I can manage. So then what do you do? Then you slowly think about the usefulness of that desire. The next step is to, first is the impossibility of the desire, second is the utility of the desire. What am I going to achieve by flying a helicopter? Is it going to help me? I will spend so much money on that, but is it going to help me? So you analyze like that. Okay, you may say there are so many desires which may not be impossible, which may not seem completely useless. So what do I do? So there you have to think about the perishability of desire. That means the impermanence of desire. So first is impossibility, then the utility, then the perishability. That is whether this desire will lead you to something permanent. It will not. It will not lead you to something permanent. It will go away. So then you can think like that. Having said, even then there will be some desires which will remain. So that is when you have to control the mind. So Sri Ramakrishna very beautifully tells it, if you go towards the north, south automatically goes farther and farther away. You don't need to think of going away from south. You just go towards north. So if you meditate on the fact that you are not the body, you are not the mind, or that you are the Atman, or that you are God's child, etc., slowly your desires get sublimated. They are channelized. But then there are some desires which still linger. So even Holy Mother says, Sri Ramakrishna says, that certain desires, like say eating rasagulla, gajar ka halwa, etc., they can be fulfilled. So if you want to eat pizza, go and have pizza. Because don't try to meditate and no, I don't want pizza, I don't want pizza. But that again is a very difficult decision to make, because that is what we lack. We lack the faculty of viveka, or discrimination, or discernment. Who will say that this is a minor desire or a major desire? So that is why we have to constantly pray and we have to constantly meditate, so that this faculty of discrimination or viveka is becoming strong and strong. Otherwise, a person may say, it's a small desire, I want to just kill a person. What is a big desire? Let us do it. So, so who will decide that this is a small desire or a big desire? So that is also. So first, if you follow these steps, if you follow first, that is impossible. Second, there is no utility. Third, it is not going to remain. And then you again do meditation and control your mind, etc. So the only way to get rid of desires is to not fulfill them. You cannot get rid of desires by fulfilling them. You can get rid of desires only by not fulfilling them. This is the idea.
Maharaj, Maharaj, in last three shlokas, we have seen that there is an individual consciousness limited by ignorance in the waking state. This is called Vishwa. And then in the
No, no,
10th,
no. Individual consciousness limited by
this
ignorance in
is
the way called Vaishvanara.
Vaishvana.
Hmm.
And then the cosmic
Thing is called
consciousness is Vishwa. So similarly, for the other two states also, there is something related to individual consciousness and something with cosmic consciousness. I couldn't understand what is this difference.
You see
And
that.
especially the shloka 11, you said that the cosmic consciousness is called Ishvara. Ishvara is the name we use for God, or so what
So
is
in
it?
general parlance, Ishvara is the name we use for God, but in Advaita Vedanta, Ishvara is something which you see as a limitation of the cosmic limitation by the of the consciousness at the cosmic level, that is the samashti collective level, and at the stage of deep sleep. Now the point is, there are two types of ignorance. You see, one is the collective ignorance and one is the individual ignorance. One is the Vyashti Ajnana, another one is called Samashti Ajnana. What is collective ignorance? You see, one thing is that I am not realized God, or I am not aware of my own nature or my true personality. But there are so many people who are not aware of this true personality. There is this whole world, this whole universe is there, etc. So it is not that only I am seeing these mountains, trees, people. Many other people are also seeing. So this put together, this collective ignorance is called collective ignorance. It's called samashti ajnana. So there is ignorance at two levels. One is Veshti, individual. Your ignorance is an individual ignorance. And then there is a collective ignorance, which is the ignorance of everyone, and also which leads to the manifestation of things like this universe, etc., solar system, etc. So these are all different manifestations of ignorance. But you see, what can we do about that? We cannot do anything about that. You have to realize Brahman. So texts like Panchadashi will say that the author of Panchadashi is Vidyaranya Swami. So he says in Panchadashi that there are two types of duality. One is the duality created by Jiva, that is this collective, that is the individual ignorance. And then there is a duality created by the Ishvara, that is this collective ignorance. So he says that what can we do about the collective ignorance? When you have realized Brahman, will you go and destroy all the forests and mountains? You will not. And let it be there. How does it bother you? So this collective ignorance is the ignorance which is there at a pan level, at a collective level. That is called collective ignorance. And there we talk about this Virat and Ishvara, Hiranyagarbha, etc.
Yeah, but that's very strange. Now the collective ignorance is called Ishvara.
No, that is strange because
that's
strange. It is strange because you have been accustomed with one kind of usage. That is not strange. What is strange is that though this body is not conscious, we are always thinking that the body is conscious. That to me is strange. Though this mind is not conscious, we are thinking that the mind is conscious. That is strange to me.
Will the collective ignorance ever vanish?
Why do we bother? That's what Panchadashi asks. How does it matter? Let it remain. But of course, they say that it will vanish. At least we know through science also that we have ice ages when the complete thing was like gone, and but that is also not completely vanishing. But in Vedantic cosmology, we talk about something called pralaya. So collective ignorance vanishes. There is one kalpa, and then things start again, and then. So according to Vedantic cosmology, it does not vanish; it involves. It goes into seed form, and then again it comes. So collective ignorance is more cyclical in nature. It will not exactly vanish. And as Panchadashi says or Vidyaranya Muni says, I also think, how does it matter? You see, how does it matter? Does it really matter if the other person gets Brahmagyana? Because so many people have got the knowledge of Brahman, but has it helped me? I am coming over and again to this world. I am taking birth over and again. Has it really helped me? It does not.
Maharaj, I've got this book in Bengali translated by Swami Vanishananda, Panchadashi. Could not make any sense out of it. Is there any the way Swami Ranganathananda has written on Gita or Vivek Churamani, is there any book like that which will make it simpler for me?
You see, Vaneshanji is very close to me. I am very close to Vaneshanandaji. Okay, so you are asking a very tricky question. I don't know why you are not able to make any sense of that book. But Vaneshanji, when he was the editor of Vedanta Kesari, I was there in Chennai Mutt as a brahmachari. And we are quite close and all that. So anyway, and he's a very jovial person. And the introduction to that book is quite lengthy, as far as I remember. It's a very lengthy introduction. And if you had read that introduction, many things have been clarified there. And it's a very good book. But as it happens in any book, you see, book is written by a person in a particular time. And when a book is written, anybody, however great that person may be, cannot expect. That is why you see Panchadashi is we have difficulty understanding Panchadashi because now we are distanced in time from Vidyaranya Muni. But when Vidyaranya Muni wrote, he wrote it with an idea to explain things, and he explains it in detail in Panchadashi. There are 15 chapters. That's why it's called Panchadashi. But anyway, so when Swamiji wrote this book also, explanation, he explained it very nicely. But only when it is a lecture situation. Now, if you were to listen the same Panchadashi under Swami Baneshanandaji, who is now in Germany, so you would be having no doubts because he will explain everything very clearly. So
Maharaj, why don't we take up this book after this? Now we have finished Mandukya Upanishad.
That we will have to have an election. You see, we live in democracy. so that election should
Ma,
be
Okay.
there.
my
Yes.
vote will be fast, fast,
Oh.
fast, fast one lecture on Hiranyagarva, and then go ahead, whatever.
Hiranya Garbha.
One lecture on Hiranyagarva, one lecture on Hiranyagarva, and then we'll go whatever in
My
one
God,
month.
Hiranyagarbha. Okay, so the Hiranyagarbha noted. Now, then we will have to take Shubhadeep. What is your yes or no? Panchadashi.
Panchadashi is a fantastic text, but it's very long. How do we do it here?
We
I
just
don't
started.
understand.
We just started.
Let's start now, Shubhadeep. Let's start.
We just started. You see, it's all a doctor couple. They're very old actually. So they are here, and they come here every year. And
Dr. Dubey.
no, no, no.
Dr. Dubey.
No. It is Dr. Bardhan. So he is from West Bengal, Kolkata. So they come. So they are into Vedanta. They have studied so many books, and they have studied so many books on Panchadashi. Couldn't make any head and tail. So they asked me to give a class on this. So every day now it is going on. So they are here only for 1 month. So I will be finishing the first 5 chapters on Panchadasi. So fourth chapter is about to be ended, and then fifth chapter is very small. So they said that, oh, now listening to this we feel it is very simple, but before that it was like we were finding it very difficult. So Panchadashi is basically, it's not many people, that word also Panchadashi, people don't know Sanskrit. Panchadashi just means 15,
15.
having 15. Panchadashi literal meaning is having 15. That means having 15 chapters. So that many people don't know. So Panchadashi, Baba, what is this? Khai na mathai make. Now whether you eat it or you apply it on the head, etc. And this is kind of
It's a very
what.
bad book also.
That's mainly because of the. Now fat, okay, but you see, you read novels. They are all fatter novels are there. So this is
Right,
not actually,
right.
this is, I am surprised that people, you read Lord of the Rings, for God's sake. Lord of the Rings is bulkier than Panchadashi. So anyway, so I was surprised that people make such a big hue and cry about Panchadashi, whereas things are so simple. In fact, if you read Panchadashi, you are at times totally annoyed that why did Vidyaranya Muni tell this again and again? Means like is he insulting our intelligence like that? Because some simple thing, you don't need to tell it so many times, we understand like that. So Panchadashi is a very simple text, and it has been told in detail, that's all.